Good evening, Buffaloes fans. Welcome to another edition of the Buffaloes podcast for Ep.6, the official Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast on G Show Productions. I'm your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth. This edition of the Buffaloes podcast, as always, is brought to you by Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools. Visit Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg today. Your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Mid-Canada Fasteners.shop is their website, so be sure to check them out there. Terraco is another sponsor of ours, of course, serving Manitoba producers for over 80 years. Be sure to check out their website at Terraco.ca. And Goaltenders, a brand that is sponsoring us here at G-Show Productions, of one of the guests in today's episode, or I should say tonight's episode, your Goalie's personal video review service. Check it out, Gordie, Tumilson, Goalies.ca, to learn more about this great goaltending service. But two guests are going to be joining me in tonight's edition of the Buffaloes podcast. One of them is from the U17 Buffaloes, and speaking of the U17 Buffaloes, U17 defenseman and superstar at Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, Carson Carroll's helped lead Team Manitoba to gold at the WHL Cup, defeating Team Alberta in the final to bring home Team Manitoba's first ever gold at the tournament. Their best finishes before that were in 2015 and 2019 most recently, when the team won silver. But this time around, they were able to bring home the gold. Carson Carroll's a part of that history, and of course playing a huge part in their success, being named the tournament MVP, putting up the points, playing a really solid overall game like Carson Carroll's does. So congratulations to him. And I had a chance to speak with his teammate, Brody Wytinck, brother of Karis Wytinck, a guest that's been on the show before. I had a chance to ask Carson about going to school and playing hockey with his sister Karis for 2 years now, as well as talking about getting to Pilot Mound last year and what it's been like this season. Coming up on this week's edition of the Buffaloes podcast, to start things off with Brody Wytinck, number 27 of the U17 Male Prep Buffaloes. Joining me now on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, the official Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast here on G Show Productions, is Brody Wytinck, defenseman number 27 of the U17 prep male team. Brody, your team's coming off a pretty successful weekend, 2 wins out of 3 games played. How have you been enjoying things so far, though, overall, first off, to start things off?
No, yeah, it's been great, and like you said, winning 2 out of 3 games on the weekend was just amazing.
Yeah, and seems like the team, a nice bounce back from the previous weekend where the team lost 4 in Colorado. Talk about how nice it was to bounce back against teams that you'll be playing maybe quite often down the line in the CSSHL.
Right, yeah. It was just awesome after losing 4 games. You're kind of getting sick of losing, so winning was a good change.
For you, it's your second year in Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. You had a chance to experience what things were all about there last year for the first time. Throw me back to that first year in the academy and your experience in small town Pilot Mound.
Yeah, so the community is just amazing, and the first year it was a bit stressful to start, just getting the hangs of thing and making sure you're getting all your homework done on the road and everything. But yeah, it was pretty good last year.
How you feel you've adjusted to that in terms of the lifestyle in year 2 so far?
I think I've adjusted pretty well, getting my homework done. I'm normally pretty ahead on it, and just being on time for most things. And yeah.
And I assume you're the brother of Karis Wytinck?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I've had a chance to speak to her. Awesome to have both of the siblings on now at separate times here. But what's it been like, especially this season, seeing her quite often in the dorm situation, the way it is in Pilot Mound?
Oh, it's been good. Just seeing my sister hanging out with all her friends and just see her growing and getting better at hockey and everything like that.
Yeah, and you're away from home, but not quite away from home because your sister, your older sister's still there at Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. But has that been able to strengthen your guys' bond together, being able to see each other succeed and thrive in a new environment?
Yeah, I think it has just seeing and watching each other grow as hockey players and human beings is just it's been great.
Was she part of the inspiration for you to come to Pilot Mound, or was it something else?
Well, we both came to Panama the same years. We both had similar goals of trying to get to be like the best at ourselves at hockey and just grow and stuff. But yeah,
For you, you had a chance to, put up a successful first season. I'm curious to ask you about how you felt your growth was in that year one overall, in terms of the level you had a chance to play at, as well as, adjusting to that hockey academy lifestyle with the homework and stuff like that on the side.
yeah. As it started off slow, like it was a big change from playing just double A bantam to coming into prep. So it was quite a bit faster. So it took quite a few months to adjust to that and just get the reins on it and stuff. But yeah, I haven't had too much homework, so it's been pretty good.
Well, that's good to hear. The more hockey, the better. Even
Yeah,
though school is important at the end of the day, as it is stressed there at Pilot Mound. But for you, 11 points in 28 games. I feel like you're probably more of that defensive defenseman. Could you talk about what type of player Brody Wytinck is?
yeah. So I try to be best. Like I try to be good at both a little bit, best of both worlds, kind of, and I try to play offensive, but also try to be strong on the defensive side of the game.
Would you say that maybe your defensive side of the game was something that took a big step in that first year? What would you say improved the most from your game throughout that first year at Pilot Mound?
Throughout the first season, definitely my offensive side of game improved just regarding of like rushing the puck and well, I only scored one goal, but yeah,
Yeah, you felt like your confidence built, in that first year, being able to do the things you were able to do with the puck.
yeah, confidence definitely did grow throughout the season.
Right on, right on. Well, going into this season, you only have one goal to start things off in the 8 games played in terms of CSSHL opponents, from what I saw. Obviously, the team's had a successful start to the year in the CSSHL with a positive record. Talk about this year's squad, getting to play with guys like Carson Carroll, some guys you've played before outside of him, and what the experience has truly been like this year in year two.
Yeah, it's been great. All the guys are super good, and playing alongside Carson Carroll's is awesome. And just trying to watch what he does and trying to almost copy it and get better. And yeah,
On a defensive core, when a guy like that you boys had a chance to play with each other last year, to see him thrive, is that infectious among the rest of the decor in terms of what you guys want to do with the puck?
yeah, it was amazing seeing him get drafted and seeing him grow like that. And but yeah, we just watch what he do and try copy it to because he's really good, obviously. But
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, this team's been able to be in a lot of close games and have been able to find ways to win in games this season. Talk about how nice it's been to get off to a quick start this year in many ways, in terms of getting wins faster than in previous years you've been here with the academy to start things off in a season.
yeah, it's been great getting lots of wins off the start. And last year we didn't have quite as many wins as quickly, so it's been a great change actually.
Obviously so huge to win against two opponents that this academy, I feel like, is built rivalries with a bit throughout the years, is another small town college, not college, but hockey academy in Notre Dame that's established in Notre Dame. You boys go out and beat them to start things off this weekend. You lose in the back-to-back, and then you beat the Indigenous Sports Academy 5-1, kind of a rivalry between these two teams as well. So to beat two opponents that obviously I feel like y'all are pretty motivated to beat, how is that for the confidence level of this team coming out of this weekend?
Yeah, well, they're both great teams, obviously, and just getting 2 wins out of the weekend, has been pretty good for our team's confidence, and we're hoping to get 2 more this weekend. So
yeah, going to be playing at home against the Indigenous Sports Academy again in a back-to-back, first on Friday night and then Saturday afternoon at noon. Talk about what the week of preparations have been like for the boys heading into this one. That's going to start off tomorrow in the weekend series.
yeah, we've been trying to get our breakouts and power play dialed in for the games and working hard on the workouts, trying to get stronger, better, faster, so we can have a better chance at beating these guys.
For you, Brody, obviously a lot you want to build off of from last year. What's one of the main goals for you that you'd be happy with accomplishing at the end of this season once that time does come?
Yeah, it'd be definitely being a lot more offensive and strong defense, and I just want trying to make more offensive plays, having my head up and that type of stuff.
Yeah, well, I think those are all great goals. Something that you want to that you felt you built on last year. You want to build off of that again this year. Brody, I wish you and the boys the best of luck to try to keep things going in the win column this weekend against the Indigenous Sports Academy at Blackjack Stewart Arena. It was a pleasure getting to talk with you. You take care.
Yeah, you too.
And Brody Wytinck, number 27 of the U17 Buffaloes, joining me on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, the official Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast on G Show Productions, brought to you by Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, Terraco, and Goaltenders. And speaking of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, their U17 program, the team that, of course, Brody plays on, they ended up having a successful weekend, going 2-1 without Carson Carrolls in the lineup as he was busy helping Team Manitoba take home gold at the WHL Cup. Gordie Tumilson joined me also this week to talk about the past performance from the U17s from the weekend, as well as the U15s, the U18 male team, and the U18 female team as well. Take a listen. And here he is for another week, Gordie Tumilson, goaltending coach, marketing director, man of many hats at Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, here to talk about the games that have happened and the games coming up in Pilot Mound, away from Pilot Mound for the teams involved in the academy coming up this weekend. Gordie, how have things been since the last time we connected last week?
Continues to be busy. We've had a little snow, so winter's here, I guess. And yeah, it's we had lots of games the last weekend. We got lots of games coming up this weekend, and games in between apparently. So lots of hockey being played, lots of goalies making saves, and lots of stuff going on outside of the rink. So it's a lot of fun time.
Yeah, and speaking of the snow, I was like, man, when I saw it this morning, it's that time of year already, eh? But it's melted at this point. We'll see if it keeps coming back and melting as it usually seems to do near the start of a snowfall here in Manitoba. But Gordie, for the U15s, they went 1-2 last week in Grand Forks, finished strong with a close 3-2 win over the Grand Forks team in Grand Forks. They played this morning and are playing tonight in Regina. Give us, your thoughts on what happened this past weekend, first off, and then what's happened today for that U15 squad.
Yeah, the U15, they played a U16 team from North Dakota, so that the competition was a little bit bigger and stronger and faster than we're used to, and that's okay. Kids won their third game. They hung in there. They got blown away in the first one. Big size, big speed. Oh, how do we handle this? That wasn't easy, but they figured it out in the second game. Came close, and then won the third. A good trip to Grand Forks for the first time for a lot of those guys. Coming up this weekend, we're looking forward to playing 4 games for sure, maybe 6 if we happen to get to the final. And I think it was a 4-4 tie this morning, so we're in pretty good shape going into the second game later on this evening.
Yeah, and that'll be happening during the airing of this podcast this week for episode 6 of the Buffaloes podcast. But Gordie, huge for a U15 team who has skill to go up against, skill level that's good and a bit older so early in the season.
Oh yeah, it never hurts to play better people. You know what? It's wrong not to play better people if you're trying to be better, because you got to know how good they are, and that's where you got to take your games. You got to go to the next level. So 2 things have to happen. The team has to go to the next level, but each individual player has to go to the next level. And so if the players don't go there, then the team doesn't go there. That's all there is to it. Our guys seem to. I don't know what happened this morning. Our guys seem to. We jumped out to a 4-0 lead, tied 4-4 at the end of the game, and it looked to me like we thought, well, it's 4-0 for us. We got this one won, so we'll just kind of float, save our energy for tonight's game. Well, guess what? The other guys didn't give up. They came back, and so that wasn't good. So it's just hockey. It's kids playing hockey, learning, figuring it out, and hopefully they remember it as they go along in their careers. You just don't take anybody for granted, and you keep playing hard. Gavin Hildebrand, our goalie, played really well throughout the game. So he, in fact, we got the tie because of him, in my mind, and I think the head coach as well. So Gavin was really good.
Yeah, and a lesson learned indeed for this Buffaloes team this morning. No matter how much you're ahead, you still got to play the full 60 minutes, and costed them a bit from the sounds of it this morning in Regina, ending up being a 4-4 tie. But for the U17s, they had a successful weekend for themselves back in CSSHL regular season play action in Saskatchewan, starting off with a 6-3 win against the Notre Dame Hounds, losing the next one 4-3, and then finishing off with a strong 5-1 performance to win against the International or the Indigenous Sports Hockey Academy. Talk about this past weekend for the U17s, a successful one at that in the win column.
Oh, absolutely. Go 2-3. We lost the one game 4-3 in overtime. And we were up 3-2 late in the game, and so we kind of gave one up, which we didn't want to late. Again, you got to learn how to win, right? You got to learn how to block shots. You got to learn how to keep the damn thing out of your end of the rink. You keep it down the other end, put it behind their goal, and keep it down behind their goal line. Guess what? They're not scoring from 200 feet away. But the kids got to learn that, and here we are. So. Yeah, winning 2-3 is great. Kyle Bielman had himself a great weekend. He missed a shutout by 47 seconds on the 5-1 win. So that was too bad, but he played really well. He got 2 wins, and his partner Pete lost in overtime. So they're battling hard with each other. They're great friends, and they're having a great time.
Yeah, and Carson Carrolls was busy winning gold with Team Manitoba. Congratulations to Carson, by the way, mentioned it earlier on in this edition of the Buffaloes podcast for episode 6. But for this team to go out and come away with this type of effort without a player like Carson shows maybe a lot of growth in this group when they don't have their superstar with them.
Well, 2 weekends in a row. The first weekend was, I think they were surprised that, okay, well, what do we do now? We don't have this guy. And now, they played without him. And, they sort of got used to it a little bit. And, somebody picked up the slack. Benson Hurst, his D partner for the most part, at least by the power play for sure, missed him the first day, and okay, we just got to figure this out, and they did, and good for them. That's what you have to do. Somebody has to pick up the slack when somebody else goes down. Doesn't matter, best player, fourth line guy. Somebody's got to pick up the slack and do a little bit more, and they figured it out and had a great series against Indigenous group.
Yeah, and that's a great sign for this U17 team to prove they can beat teams like that without such a prominent player when Carson Carrolls makes his return to the lineup, the WHL Cup MVP will make that U17 group that much better. For the U18s, it was a couple of big losses for them, but they ended up having a win in there, Gordie. A 5-1 win on the Saturday in Wilcox, Saskatchewan, taking on the Notre Dame Hounds. Some struggles, but some successes this weekend for the U18s, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we get a win, and that's always good to get a win. Quinn Burfoot's been really strong for us in goal, and we certainly really rely on him at this point. He's probably our number one guy, a step ahead of Josh Hope. Josh played in a game we got beat up pretty badly on Sunday, but at the end of the day, he made 53 or 54 saves. So, you get scored on by 10 times, but, the other team's getting all kinds of good chances to score on him. So he had his first real big stress game, and he did pretty well. And we always learn things from those events. I mean, that's the neat part. And so the next day, in fact, we were out working on things, or 2 days, I guess. It was a Sunday game, Tuesday, Goalie Tuesday out in Pilot Mound. So we spent 45 minutes with Josh, just working on some of the stuff that will help clean up a few of the goals that he could have saved. We weren't going to win that game. It was 10-1. We made it lost 6-1, but at the end of the day, no goalie wants to give up goals that don't feel good. And he's going to be better from that, because of that game, and that'll be fine. So yeah, it's a learning experience. We got to win. Those guys are happy to get a win.
Yeah, always good to get a win, no matter how a weekend may go for your squad. But these U18 Buffaloes will be back in action at the Barkman Arena in Cairnport, Saskatchewan, coming up on Saturday and Sunday, taking on Okanagan Hockey Academy Edmonton, and then Calgary International Hockey Academy. One later game, one morning game, the morning game coming on the Sunday, the 7 p.m. game coming on the Saturday, Gordie. For this U18 team, would the focus be just playing more of a structured game heading into this one?
Well, they're learning to play as a team, and there's their skill. Yeah, just go take a step backwards. This U18 group is better than last year's group, which was a very late organized team for last year. They didn't have much hope in being able to grab good players, so they went out with 20 guys who did their best. This group's a little bit better, and they've proved that already. They're closer. When they play their best, they can be really close to the best teams. When they don't play their best and they kind of don't have the effort or whatever, then it can be ugly. And so, it's just getting the effort out of them, getting them the confidence to go out and continue to play really as hard as they can, do the best they can. And sometimes they're going to get rewarded. They can score some goals. We've proved that. We can defend not badly when we try to, but it's getting those guys to do that every time. And again, to bring in 20 brand new players to a U18 program that was 0 and 1 million last year, it's hard to get better players to come. And so we got a few better players this year. We'll get a few more next year. This is a team that as a team, it requires a bit more time to grow the quality of player.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about those building blocks, and we'll see what the U18s got in store this weekend coming up when they'll be back in Saskatchewan. For the U18 female group, talking about them lastly here, Gordie, they played against the Rink Hockey Academy on the Saturday in Winnipeg, losing that one 3-1. Quite a few shots given up from just looking at it. Alex Mills ends up making 39 saves on 42 shots against. It was tied heading into the second period, the Rink pulling away in the second with 2 unanswered goals. But Gordie, your thoughts on that game from what you got to see in the Rink this past weekend?
Yeah, the Rink team, we beat the Rink team the week before, so it was kind of interesting to see them play again. They were a little bit more focused, I think, at home, and being surprised by Pilot Mound beating them. They don't get beat by our team very often, so we surprised them. They came out a little bit harder. Good on them, and good for us to find out that okay, they have another gear. We need to play better. We just can't assume that they're going to come out and play the same way as they did the last time. Always a lesson. Always learned, and we're good for that. Alex played really, really well for us in goal, kept it nice and close, gave us a chance, and that's what you asked from your goalkeeper. And this young lady from Colorado did a real fine job for her new Buffalo's teammates.
Well, the goaltending from Alex Mills definitely kept this team in it, kept the score reasonable. I'm not sure how many shots the female Buffaloes put up, but still within 2 goals and a loss, tied to a Rink Hockey Academy team that has talent that they've beaten before. Heading into that second period, just didn't have the firepower to fight back. Is that a lot of confidence in these last 3 games, especially, even though only one of them has resulted in a win, but these games aren't blowout losses for the Buffaloes at the same time?
Yeah, that's the big news here is that we're closer, and we're closer at the beginning of the year. So we assume we're going to be even closer at the end of the year. We give these good kids a couple 3 months to kind of get themselves together, work on their individual skills, and it will be better. And hopefully the other teams won't be quite as good or much better. And because they're challenged the same way to be better. They're all trying to move up to the whatever notch level they're trying to go to. And we talk about college hockey and for the girls, and we talk about Team Canada, Team USA, Team whatever. And certainly those girls some of those girls aspire to play in those type of programs. So yeah, get better and fight hard, learn to battle, and good things happen. That's what we're hoping for come later in the season, this year and into 2024.
Yeah, and hoping that they can continue this good spirit heading forward this season in terms of keeping games close and battling through that consistent 60 minutes. They'll be going up against, I guess it's the 26th today. They already played a game in the morning against the Okanagan Hockey Academy Black team. They're off to Calgary, Alberta to play 4 games in total at the Edge School. Talk about what happened this morning there, Gordie, as well as what's coming up for this U18 female Buffalo squad in Calgary.
Good, mate. We actually outshot the OHA today. I think they're surprised at how good we were. And typically, they don't think our teams are that great. So the first time we play them, we usually surprise them, and good for us. We did lose 3-2, late goal on their side, but a good goal by their player. So they made a good pass play in front of the goal, made a nice goal. But we lost 3-2, outshot the other guys 28-22. And so felt good about that. And if things go our way, we win that game. They didn't. We had a crossbar probably with 5 minutes to go, and they scored with about 3 minutes to go. So it was a really close game, and we were the unlucky ones this time. But that's okay. We'll keep battling. We got 3 more games to play, and we're looking forward to playing real well in every one of those games.
Yeah, and Delta Hockey Academy Black, as well as Delta Hockey Academy Green coming up in the next few days, as well as North Shore Warriors. All these games will be in the morning, Gordie. So what kind of goes into a change in the mindset there? Is there any? I mean, I feel like this is kind of routine of playing morning games, but 3 in a row, does that change things in any way in terms of preparation?
Well, no, I mean they know how to do this. I mean, I've done it forever, so it gives them a bit more time in the afternoon or evening to do other things, and maybe that's a good thing. And they're traveling to play. A lot of these kids have never been to Calgary or anywhere else, for that matter, that we play in. So they're getting to see a place that will become familiar by the end of the season, but not until for a little bit. But no, morning games, 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock. Sometimes I think typically our teams play the get out game first thing in the morning. That way we have the maximum amount of time to travel before the bus driver has to, sit, go to sleep and have a rest and then travel the next day home. So we usually get the early game on Sunday morning or the last day of the tournament and then head home. So we're used to all that stuff. There's nothing unusual here. And again they get some chance to maybe do some stuff in the afternoon they might not otherwise do.
Well, I appreciate the clarity, Gordie, about that. Just kind of want to know. Not too sure why. Something to end things off here on this edition of Buffalo's podcast analysis with Gordie Tumilson talking about the past games as well as the upcoming games for all teams in the Hockey Academy. Gordie, I'm sure we'll do this again very soon. Until next time, you take care and you have yourself a good one.
Thanks, Graham, and you too.
Gordie Tumilson joining me on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast for episode 6, sponsored by Goaltenders, the brand you just saw scrolling down below on the screen. It actually is Gordie Tumilson's brand, of course. Visit Goaltenders or GordieTumilsonGoalies.ca to check out more there, but also brought to you by Terraco and Make Canada Fastteners and Tools. And yeah, coming up after the transition, the next one I'm going to be taking you all through the upcoming games once again for Pilot Mound and previewing who they are facing off against this weekend. You're watching the Buffaloes podcast here on gshow Productions. Back for more after this transition. And welcome back to the Buffaloes podcast. Going to be taking you guys through who these teams are that the Buffaloes are going to face, the 4 teams in the academy, that is, and taking you through their record, stuff like that we haven't really given context on just yet. But taking a look at the upcoming games for the academy, the next games, that is, the U15s, they're taking on the Central Plains Capitals. Now, from looking at the Capitals standings, they're a 2-5-2 team, 26 goals for, 44 goals against. For the Buffaloes, they're 2-6 to open up CSSHL play, 2-6 on the season so far, 21 goals for, 42 goals against. And for Pilot Mound, this is a team with some really talented players. They can get good goaltending. It's just about buying into that structured style of play that you need to do to limit the high-end opponents you're going up against. I think that going up against a Capitals team that seems similar by the record to the Pilot Mound Buffaloes, Pilot Mound with less wins, but no, with the same amount of wins, one less loss than the Capitals. So I think that this Buffaloes team with guys like Forrest Carlson, Gavin Noseworthy, guys that can really make a difference if they can work hard this weekend, I think they got a really good chance to go out and beat the Capitals. Taking a look at the U17s, they're playing against the Indigenous Sports Academy, and if we take a look at the upcoming schedule, they'll be playing against Indigenous Sports Academy twice, I believe. That's a error on the graphic, I think, but it's at Blackjack Stewart Arena. This Buffaloes team, I believe Carson Carrolls is going to be back in the lineup. They had a good showing last week against 2 of this academy's rivals. I think that Rick McConnell has his players playing the right way right now. This team has, not really any superstars outside of Carson Carrolls, but guys that can put the puck in the net. And I think when taking a look at who Pilot Mound is going up against, taking a look at the standings, a team that they beat 5-1 last time out, and a team that's near the bottom of the standings with a 2-5 record for Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. They rank 6th right now, actually, in CSSHL play, in the U17 ranks at a record of 6-1-0-0-0-1. That other loss coming in a shootout, 35 goals for, 21 goals against. So I think if they continue to play the right way, they'll have a lot of success against the Indigenous Sports Academy, who this season has 21 goals for, 31 goals against. So I think that Pilot Mound just needs to take advantage, hard on the forecheck, play a structured, consistent 60 minutes, and you should come away with the victory in these 2 matchups if you're able to do that consistently, feeding off of the home energy too in Pilot Mound, Manitoba. Taking a look at the U18s, they will be in Caronport, Saskatchewan to take on OHA Edmonton and Calgary International Hockey Academy, as talked about with Gordie Tumilson. And taking a look at that division, standings-wise, Pilot Mound, so far this season, they've only played 4 games there in this division. In terms of regular season play, they have only 8 goals for, 32 goals against. It's a team that wants to continue to build on good habits off of, this past weekend, coming away with a win, coming away with 2 big losses to themselves. But they're playing against an OHA Edmonton team that is only one more game they played than Pilot Mound, 2-3, 17 goals for, 21 goals against. So that should be a game where I think the Buffaloes could potentially compete, or if they're out of their structure, this could be a game where OHA Edmonton finds some breaks and breaks through on this Buffaloes team. So I think it's about buying in and actually wanting to be there for this U18 Buffaloes team that's going to make a difference. They're a team that doesn't have a superstar, but when they all buy in, this is a team that can score by committee and rely on all of their lines instead of just trying to rely on 1 or 2 lines, right? I think they got the goaltending. Every goaltender in this academy is skilled. Help him out in front, and he should be able to at least come away with 1 win, I think, this weekend when taking a look at it. Against Calgary International Hockey Academy, this is a team that Pilot Mound ranks above right now, but they've only played 1 game, 2 games, that is. 1 win, 1 loss for Calgary International Hockey Academy. 8 goals for, 7 goals against. So don't know too much about that team really yet. They've only played 2 games. I haven't really checked the schedule for who they've been playing against this season. But I think for this Buffaloes team, like all weekend long, if the effort is there, you can do good things, rely on the pieces throughout the forward core of this lineup to do their thing, and also be sure to shore up some of those high-danger scoring areas where Coach Ethan Meredith-Poole pointed that out as a weakness, even though they've been limiting shots this season. So got to help out your goaltenders in those crucial moments, and goaltenders have to do their job as well, of course, to clear away rebounds and control them as best as they can. But for the female U18 Buffaloes, ending off with them, if we take a look at the upcoming game for them, they don't play until tomorrow against the North Shore Warriors. And taking a look at their full schedule for this weekend, they'll be, I guess this is an old graphic, but we'll pull up the schedule on their website right here. By the way, let me know where you're watching from, folks. It's a fantastic Thursday night here. Got a chance to see some snow, although my sister thinks it was more so rain, and I kind of agree with her. It more so turned into rain. But there was snow on the ground here in Manitoba, which it's almost Halloween, October 26th today. But hopefully you guys are enjoying the show so far. Almost at the end of it. But the Buffaloes U18 female prep team takes on North Shore tomorrow at 10:45 a.m. And then, of course, as we talked about, me and Gordie Tumilson, 2 morning games, one on Saturday, 10:45 a.m., again against Delta Hockey Academy Black, against Delta's green team. Pilot Mound finishes off their weekend against them on Sunday at 8 a.m. Central Time. And yeah, taking a look at that side of the division of things in the CSSHL standings for the Buffaloes, they rank 10th right now, played 9 games, they're 2-7, 17 goals for, 42 goals against. Going up against Delta teams, that the green one, that's going to be a pretty big test for this Buffaloes team to see where they're at against a really quality opponent, a team that ranks 2nd in the female division, 49 goals for, 12 goals against. So I think that game for the Buffaloes to end off their weekend is going to be more about, can you show you can at least stay within the fight with this team in terms of not giving up and playing a full 60 minutes. Now, maybe they might get blown out. That could very well happen, but if you can show that you're not going to give up, you're going to be in their faces, you're going to at least try to make it as difficult as you can. I think if you try your hardest, that's all you can take away from that game if you're the Buffaloes female team. And against Delta Hockey Academy Black female, this is a team that is 23 goals for, 51 goals against. So definitely a game where I think the Buffaloes have a better chance compared to that one against Delta Hockey Academy Green female. It seems like there's a bit of a difference in the skill sets there between the teams. But I think that that's a game where the Buffaloes could potentially win, given that that squad isn't as strong. And the Buffaloes have been within the fight this season in many games. Sure, they've been blown out, but there's been many times where they've had a chance to win if they're just able to put up a bit more offense. And for the North Shore Warriors, this is a team that's been pretty solid this year, 4-2-1, ranking 5th in the league. 28 goals for, 23 goals against. Again, going to be a tough test for the Buffaloes team. This North Shore Warriors female squad can put the puck in the net, not a crazy amount, but can also defend pretty well. So the Buffaloes, like any team in hockey, I think, the more well-detailed you are, you're going to succeed and have more success. And I think for the Buffaloes, they might be outskilled in some areas, but this team has good goaltending they can ride off of. They need to look to score by committee as well. Count on their top guns to also come through. And I think the Buffaloes could have a good chance to at least compete in some of these games. I think that game against Delta Hockey Academy Female Black is very good chance that Buffaloes team, the females, are able to win it. But yeah, getting to the end of this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Stick around for some final words here on this edition of the official Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, sponsored by Goaltenders, McKenna Fasteners and Tools, and Terraco. Well, you've made it to the end of this edition of the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast. I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. Special thanks to Gordie, Tumilson, and Brody Wytinck for coming on this edition of the show. Best of luck to Brody and the team coming up this weekend at home in Pilot Mound to take on the Indigenous Sports Hockey Academy. Special thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning into this edition of the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast. Be sure to check out our website, gshow.ca, where we'll be posting some blog content there and more stuff as the season goes along. And also be sure to subscribe here to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any future episodes like this one. Special thanks to our sponsors and goaltenders, McKenna Fasteners and Tools. Just going to pull them up right here, as well as Terraco. Thank you for your support. It means so much. And for us at G Show Productions, next week we are going to be going live for another episode at 9 p.m. Central Time on our YouTube channel. We're also going to link it on our website. But it's going to be episode 7 of the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast, the Buffaloes podcast, brought to you by our 3 sponsors of tonight's episode and all the others that I've already mentioned here. But yeah, we're going to have more great guests, players from the academy, coaches perhaps. Maybe Gordie Tumilson makes a 3rd consecutive appearance. You'll have to wait for the details on our social media pages. We'll also announce it on our website on the upcoming events tab. But it's going to be a fun one, and maybe we'll even get some highlights in there. Who knows? You'll have to wait for the announcement coming next week. But best of luck to all the teams in the academy. G Show Productions, hoping that you guys and girls, you boys and girls, can come away with some wins, but overall a solid, consistent effort to wear Ethan Meriden's pool. I'd like to quote him by saying, get 1% better every game and look to build on this success throughout the season that you may have, no matter if you win or if you lose. I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth, giving you the peace out, giving you the salute, and saying so long, everybody. Till next Thursday night. We'll see you then. Tyson Unruh, take us away with Marching of the Buffalo, or March of the Buffalo, that is. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your night.